Good day everyone, how are you all doing? This is Yixit at Magna Crypto, back again with another video. In this video, as per usual, I'll be doing the end of week market breakdown. It's looking very interesting for the altcoins. So without further ado, let's get straight into it. If you haven't already done so, please subscribe to the channel and like this video. I'd very much appreciate that. And also, if you want to get started in crypto, you want to learn the fundamentals, I've got a course completely free, link for that is in the description. And also, I've got a private Telegram group where I post more regular insight, more regular charts. Link for that is also in the description. With that out of the way, let's get straight into the charts. So Bitcoin on the weekly, it does not look like it's found any support just yet. As you can see, both red candles obviously going down, and even the wicks are going down. So it looks like Bitcoin is searching for more liquidity at lower and lower prices in the last 2 weeks. So it doesn't look like it's found any support just yet. The only support that we can really see on the weekly time frame is 20,000. But let's move over to the daily, because there is some more support levels on the daily time frame. On the daily time frame, it looks like we actually found support at 30,700. It wicked all the way down to 28,000. At the moment, it's now at resistance at 33,000. It's rejected from there. On the 4 hourly though, we have to really go down to the 4 hourly. It does look like an ascending triangle formation is forming over here. On second thought, to be honest, you could think of this somewhat of a symmetrical triangle, but on second thought, it looks more like an ascending wedge or a pennant formation, which you find when there is a sharp move in either direction. You have this kind of pause. This pennant formation is like a pause between the trends, but then it continues on. So if that's the case, then we can use this flag pattern, this flag leading up to the pennant. It could be just this line over here, or it could be all the way from there. But let's go with the conservative target. If this is a pennant formation and it breaks out to the downside, then we could see 28,000 and below being visited once again. But the overall trend, as you can see, is to the bearish. A big rounding formation, lower highs consistently and lower lows. Now this area of 30,000 seems to be the area of support, hence why I've got the blue zone over here. If this breaks, which it's looking like it is going to break, but of course we need to wait for confirmation. If it breaks, then as I mentioned, we could see 28,000 and even lower. I did post a tweet, let me move to the weekly, and even in the last video about the use of Fibonacci when it comes to the bull run and measuring corrections. And the 28,000 has been tested already, or just above it. It does look like we're going to end up going a bit lower. But as always, we need to wait for confirmation, because it could easily just tap the 50% level and reverse. But potentially, we could go down to 25,000. I doubt 22,000 would be tapped, but it's possible. So let's see if it goes lower. At the moment, as I said, it doesn't seem to have found any support on the weekly, indicating that there could be lower levels being reached. Let's move over to Ethereum. Ethereum today is pumping. It's pumping very hard. No homo. You can see obviously this massive red candle. Can't seem to talk properly today. Getting all this liquidity, and now it's going up on the ascendancy. We'll look at ETH BTC after this as well, but it looks like, again, as I mentioned before, we're switching towards ETH dominance, which is very good to see. I've actually put a Fibonacci sequence in between this low and this top, and now it's hit that 27 level, that extension perfectly. If we continue on going higher and we close for this week above this high, very bullish indication, and we could see the 618 and the 786. So we could basically smash all-time high. Let's just be cautious and watch it as it goes along. But it's definitely leaning on the bullish side compared to what you saw with Bitcoin, which is definitely leaning towards bearish. It's not found any support just yet. Let's have a look at the daily time frame. On the daily, it looks like what is called a broadening wedge formation. You can see the top trend line is trending upwards, and the lower trend line is kind of showing like essentially like a crocodile mouth, kind of pattern. So we could see the top of this being tapped. What can often happen is break below this would indicate, of course, a more bullish trend continuation. As you can see here, very bullish. We could potentially even measure a price target by using this. Let's move this over here, straighten that. So we can use this like flag, this run up, and then place that on the top of where the breakout could be. And so if it breaks to the upside, potentially we could have a move towards 2000, but a more conservative target would be halfway up, maybe 16 to 1750, something like that, if it breaks above this formation. So you can see clearly ETH is looking a lot more bullish than BTC. Next, we will look at ETH BTC just to kind of follow up on what we're seeing. So we were tapping this resistance level from before very nicely after this bullish run. We're now above it. If we can close above this for the week, that would be very bullish. As I've shown you here, we've got a good 40% room, even more than that actually. We go down to there, about 47% room until the next major support, which could be resistance. So ETH basically can go on a monster run. ETH is taking more dominance from Bitcoin. There isn't much resistance in between these two levels, so it's got room to really fly and take dominance from BTC. If this does happen, then it would make sense, if people are converting their Bitcoin for Ethereum, it would make sense that BTC could see lower prices as shown with the Fibonacci levels, and then this could really give Ethereum the gas it needs to continue on making new highs. Next, we'll look at Litecoin, another OG of the crypto world. So Litecoin, although it hasn't completely reversed just yet, on the weekly it does look like it's slowing down. As you can see, there's a lot less volume here, but massive wicks. So it's a bit undecided essentially, because this is showing that there's a lot of buying pressure, but there's also a lot of selling pressure. So it's slowing down at this very crucial resistance, now turning support, not confirmed just yet. If we move to the daily to see some more perspective, we can see this downwards wedge pattern. We could call it a pennant or a wedge, although there is a lot of white space here, which indicates it's not a strong pattern. This is also similar to what I showed you before with I think it was Ethereum or Bitcoin, where there was a pennant formation or a wedge formation. If this breaks to the upside, of course, then we can see further highs, but this is similar to Bitcoin starting to round off and turning around. So it's starting to move more to the downside than it is to the upside. So this important level of 130 to 137, it needs to maintain that, use it as support and continue going higher. But the fact that it's tapped it several times could indicate it may end up going lower. But we need to see a definitive breakout either to the upside or to the downside to see where we're going to go. So if it breaks to the downside, then the next support level could be around $90. So this is previous resistance, which would be support. Let's see how it continues on going forward. Next, we'll look at Link. Chainlink has absolutely been smashing it. I'll be very honest with you, at this point it was looking a bit iffy. I wasn't sure if Chainlink was going to continue this prior trend. Although it had this massive run up, I felt that potentially Link could be done in the market, but it's absolutely proven that wrong. It's continued going higher, making new highs, going as high as $25, $26. The next major target would be about $30 or just shy of that. On the weekly, of course, we had this massive run up. It's basically almost doubled in price. It has doubled in price. The next thing I would probably wait to see is a retest of $20. It's very common for it to retest previous main resistance before it continues going on higher. If you look at this resistance level here, which is quite a strong one, it broke to the upside and then broke below. Then it broke again once again, but we had a smallish retest before continuing on making massive new highs. So that's what I'd be looking out for. We could perhaps see again an attempt at $30 or just shy of that, and then we could have $25 becoming new support, because it is a round number, and if there's a lot of momentum behind Chainlink, then people might think $25 is a good price to get Chainlink, so that could become new support. But let's see how it continues on going forward. Next, we'll look at Polkadot, one of the main performers in the last few weeks, the last few months. Look at this insane price action. Two huge candles. This last week has had a lot less volume, so it's a bit indecisive. We do have quite a bit of buying pressure, so this could be enough to push it forwards towards $20 once again, and on. On the daily, we can see a bit more price action, a bit more clarity. I've drawn this Fibonacci. As I've mentioned, it looked like another inverted ascending scallop formation. Therefore, we shouldn't go lower than 50% if this is the case. However, you can see here, it's actually broken past the previous high on the weekly, closed above it, and now it's looking to retest it. If it can stay above this and use this as new support, then for sure we can break new highs and continue on to $25, $26. But we need to, of course, stay above this previous high. If it doesn't hold, however, again, if it just stays above that 50% level, above $12.90 to $13, basically this support level, then I'm still bullish that it's gonna form this pattern and continue on going higher. So Polkadot, it's looking good, but we need to see further confirmation. Next, we'll have a look at Cardano. Let's move over to the weekly. So on the weekly, so obviously we had this massive surge to the upside, breaking past the highest high that it's formed in its price action history, and it's now using it as support, which is a very good thing to see. There's a lot of buying pressure here, so basically it needs to just maintain this as support and continue on going higher. If it maintains this as support, closes there, and goes basically on the up, I think it's going to be in proper price discovery mode, and we could really see Cardano making absolute new highs, potentially towards 45-50 cents and above. So the main thing we need to see is just for it to hold this as support and then continue on going higher. Can we see anything better from the daily? Not too much, to be honest, apart from the fact that it's made higher lows, which is a positive sign. Potentially, if we use this as an upsloping trend line, it's looking like potentially a flag formation, which is a good thing to see, especially after a strong uptrend, a strong surge upwards, price increasing very quickly. To see a flag formation is a good sign. This is, as I mentioned, basically like a half-staff pattern, a break during an uptrend. If it does this successfully and breaks to the upside of this flag formation, then we will see further highs and a good attempt. I think probably 45 to 50 cents would be my next target, because it's the next big round number. So it's looking good, but we need to see first on the weekly, we need to see it hold the support level, and then on the daily we need to see it break above this chart pattern. That's what I'm looking for with Cardano. Next we have Melon here. I'm looking at the Melon USD pairing. This is a member's request. So as you can see, we had a massive surge to the upside near its inception after breaking past a very important resistance level. Since that point, it was in a half star pattern, a continuation pattern, or looks like a flag formation. Since breaking up to the upside, a massive surge. August making its major high at around $80. It retraced quite significantly, about 78%. So this was a massive correction for Melon. It's created a nice bottom a few months ago. Since that point, it's been trending upwards, respecting this trend line. It's now at a very crucial level. It's testing the halfway between the range high and the range low, which is an important level. If it does not close above this halfway range between the low and the high, I suspect potentially we could see a break of this trend line, which will probably result in a retest of this bottom from back in October. Firstly, there's a support level at $26, $28, but if that doesn't hold, then I think we'll end up seeing a potential double bottom pattern forming at around $17. So that's what I'm looking for. I'm looking for a close above this important halfway level in between the range high and the range low. My apologies. So I'm looking for a confirmation above this range middle, and then we'll probably see a retest of that $80 level and potentially beyond. But at the moment, it's essentially in limbo. It needs to close above this halfway point. Otherwise, potentially, you can see we've tested this trend line quite a few times, and the more times you test a trend line, the weaker it becomes. So let's keep an eye on this pairing Melon USD if it closes above that halfway pattern. Next, we'll look at FTT Token, the token of the FTX exchange. So we have this massive, I believe this is a doji chart, candlestick pattern. This is showing a lot of indecision. We've got low volume, but there's massive wicks on either side. So the bears are pushing and the bulls are also pushing. Slight dominance on the bull side, so we could see a break of this all-time high of $10, and just to go on the up once again towards the next target of $13, $14, $15. On the daily time frame, again, we're seeing a lot of these kind of broadening wedge pattern formations. So we could see the top of this being tested around $11 and 45 cents. If we see a break on the above this, a close above this, then we really could see going towards the next targets of $14, $15. But we're seeing a lot of these continuation patterns. We're seeing a lot of these patterns where there's a strong uptrend and then we have some consolidation, a break, hopefully to continue on the uptrend. That's what it's looking like on a lot of patterns, except Bitcoin. The Bitcoin is the only one that's probably looking like it wants to go down more than it wants to go up. We'll finish with Akash token, a token that I've covered before. I've mentioned this as a potential 100x coin. Again, shout out to my mate Dan who found this. I started investing at around about 65 cents, and it's now at $1.80. It really want to push above that $1 range for quite a while, and once it did, it was in price discovery mode. So it's doing very well. It's now basically having a little break, a bit of consolidation. Volume has dropped, so I want to see volume increase. I think otherwise we're not going to see much of an increase in price. So it may start consolidating for a little bit. It may retrace before continuing on. But Akash, as I mentioned, is still very cheap, very low price, great project as I've said in the previous video. So do check out that video where I covered Akash token. I think I've done a couple of videos on that actually. But we'll finish with Akash token. Not much to say in terms of chart pattern. It's just basically in price discovery mode, and now it's consolidating. So that'll be all for this video, for this market breakdown. Hope you got some value from that, and see you in the next video. Peace.